I'm so happy. Finally, I'm also getting English. Just wait a minute. He said happily, his eyes shining as he looked at the money in the suitcase on the tea table, while the four guards stared at him with their cold faces. Wine, wine, come here quickly. She hurriedly came there, hurriedly with sweat flowing on her skin, to her stepfather. But when she saw the strangers' guards in her home, she was confused. Before she could speak, her father gestured for them to take her with them. Why all of you coming near me? Father, tell them to stop. When the guards approached her, she started panicking. They began to take her forcefully, and she tried to pull her arms away, refusing to obey them and screaming in fear. Father, what have you done? Why are they taking me? She tried to stop them from pulling her hands away from them. I sold you to the boss. Now shut your mouth and go with them. No, I can't go. I can't leave my home. Please tell them to stop. She was crying in fear, but they were forcefully taking her with them. Time skipped to after 3 hours later. She was pushed by the guards into the room forcefully. When she fell, she hissed in pain as her arm got hurt. But she heard a male voice that gave her goosebumps, a voice she found familiar. See how fate has brought you directly to me. She saw the person leaning against the glass window, smoking, wearing his black suit with pride evident on his face. You? Yes, I'm Kim Taeyong, your fate. As I have climbed, he continued to stare at her with his dark gaze, instilling fear in her. It feels strange being held as a maid in this house by my father for the first time. Seeing this house from the outside makes me understand there will be many house chores to do. Purpose, that's why they are offering good and substantial money almost like a salary. Thinking to myself, I walked in hesitantly. So why? It's not as demanding as you might have thought. You just have to cook and serve it to us. Okay, ma'am. She smiled, feeling relieved at how kind her owner was. I'll go and make lunch, ma'am. Mia nodded, and Wine left to search for the kitchen. Wine is cooking in the kitchen, but she hears Mia telling her to bring juice for the kids. When she enters the living room, she finds it empty, and Mia, along with the kids, are nowhere to be seen. Wine wonders, where are they? She is still holding the tray with juices filled to the brim. Wine? She turned back and saw Wine. Guests went to my room. Please give the juice there. Sure, ma'am. She left, but her phone started ringing. She picked up the call. On the phone. You said you would send money after my daughter reached there, but you didn't send it yet. Why? Mister, calm down. It's not that easy for me to make Wine work as a slave for my customer without her knowing. I just send her to your customer. After it's done, that's when I'll send the money. Okay, sure. He hung up the call. Vine opened the door from outside. When she stepped in, she saw a man with back facing her, spinning a glass of whiskey in his hand. Vine spoke. Sir? He looked over his shoulder with a bored expression, but his eyes sparkled at her beauty. His body automatically turned towards her, as if captivated by her presence. When she saw the glass in his hand, she felt annoyed, but when her eyes met his, she paused for a few seconds, mesmerized by his charming face and personality. He chuckled at the way her eyes stared on him. Am I that handsome? She felt embarrassed, realizing she had been staring at him. She smiled awkwardly, showing the tray in her hands, and spoke. Juice? He poker faced and signaled her to come closer to him. She did, and then he placed the glass from his hand onto the tray and took the tray from her, hands placing it on the table. He sat on the bed, letting out a sigh and taking a comfortable sitting position. Sit here. He patted the spot next to him. It's okay, I'll go, sir. She said, trying to leave, but he grabbed her wrist and signaled her to sit. So she sit next to him confused. Since when have you been working here, Beauty? Just call me Boy. I just joined today. What's your nice name? I'm Tyr, Kim Tae-hyun. She nodded her head but thought to herself why he introduced himself because she was a maid, but widened her eyes when he laid his right palm on her thigh. Mister, what are you trying to do? She angrily jerked his hand from her thigh, trying to get up, but he held her hand tightly. Don't make a scene, baby. Won't you have to give me pleasure? He said this as he tried to kiss her lips, but she pushed him back, causing him to fall onto the table, hitting his head on the corner. Ugh, you witch! How dare you refuse me? It was bleeding. I'm not your slave to obey you. Mark my words. I'll make you obey me. Make you my slave for sure. I'll be your fate. As he said this seriously, she felt tense and scared. She immediately ran from there while he busily covered his head with a kerchief. I won't leave you. Seems like our memories flashed so hard in your eyes, my slave. He asked her sarcastically, taking a sip of wine, sitting comfortably on the bed with his legs spread wide, which was enough to make her shiver in fear of what was about to happen. I'm not your slave. I own you now. Your father sold you to me, so you should obey everything I say. She swallowed hard, feeling bad about herself. Now let's have fun. Take off your dress. She was shocked, clutching her dress with tension on her face, shaking her head. No, I can't. He stood beside the flower vase next to her with his gun. She was scared like hell, thinking she was dead, but the bullet missed by inches. Come on, take off those damn clothes. He ordered her this time, irritated, which made her flinch and move to obey him, as she had no other way to deny it. She reluctantly held back her emotions, feelings, as if she were tearing inside at the thought of being naked in front of him. With trembling hands, she started unbuttoning her shirt slowly from the top, undoing one button at a time, catching his gaze quickly. She wasn't looking at him at all. Instead, she kept her gaze down while unbuttoning herself. He too couldn't take his eyes off her, filled with curiosity. When she finished unbuttoning and removing the shirt, leaving her skin exposed to him, he was shocked by the sight. All he saw were bruises on her body, nothing else. He even dropped the drink in his hand as he got up in shock. It took him some time to process how her beautiful body would feel cuts and scratches like that. Despite hearing sound of the glass stuttering, she didn't raise her head to look at him. What are those? A shocked question escaped from his mouth, filled with suspicion. He walked closer to her, no longer maintaining distance, and touched her skin finally in disbelief. But she flinched in pain, which snapped him out of his drunkenness instantly. He quickly withdrew his hand in a moment of shock and confusion. He naturally raised his hands in surrender pose. She slowly lifted her gaze from the floor to his face, tension evident in her eyes. He took a blanket, wrapped it on her body, which shocked her. She widened her eyes in surprise. He quickly turned his face away, unable to look at her, and was about to leave the room swiftly, taking big steps. But he heard her sobbing, which prevented him from leaving her alone. I had to turn back when I heard her sobbing suddenly, and when I saw her clearly, she was clutching the blanket, sobbing sadly. I felt sad too. But why is she behaving like she's never done this before, taking off her clothes before doing her job? Of course, she even joined me as positive company too, right? But when I saw the bruises and cuts on her skin, it made me suspicious now. And I feel like she isn't the type I thought she was before. I walked toward her. Why? Even when he called her, she didn't raise her head to see him, as she was holding back her tears. I'm so sorry. She had to lift her head and her eyes blinked as if she misheard what he said. Yes, I'm sorry. I won't say sorry to others, even if I made a mistake, but I wanted to apologize to you. My heart was cursing me for my rash behavior towards you. Do you really not used to work as a worker before? Her jaw dropped. How could he think of her as a slave when she was just doing small works to earn money? What made you say that? I went to Mia's home to have fun with a worker for one day, and she told me to wait as she would send you girl. That's when you came into the room. She was surprised and realized why he behaved with her, thinking she was a worker, not knowing she was just a maid that day. She also understood why her stepfather sent her to work there. Because of my stepfather, I went to Mia's home. It was also my first time going there to work as a maid. But when you scared me, I ran from her house in fear, and I never went back to Mia's home again. I got angry because you hurt me, not knowing you were innocent. I couldn't control my anger when you left me, even though my heart is bleeding. So I inquired about you with my girls and brought you back paying money. I can apologize for the injury I caused, but I was just scared at the time. I hope you understand. Take some rest. I'll go. Saying this, he quickly left. 1 hour later. Ma'am, may I come in? Yes. The maid entered bringing bags in her hands. Sorry for the late, ma'am. Sir ordered me to bring clothes for you quickly, but it took me a long time to shop for you. For me? Yes, ma'am. Also, his family doctor will come within 20 minutes for a checkup. Sir said you shouldn't hesitate to see the doctor and get proper treatment for your health. She placed the bags on the table and left. Why is he suddenly showing concern towards me? Is it because of the bruises on my body? Or does he want me to be healthy before working as a slave for him? Because my father sold me to him. I feel no. The way he said sorry immediately and explained things from his side, I can say that he isn't that bad if I look at it from another. The next evening, she saw Tay smoking there alone. When he noticed her watching him, he threw away the cigarette and wiped his hands on his pants. Thanks. For what? Further dresses and treatment from the doctor. Oh, you didn't show up from last night until now. May I know why? I couldn't face you. I'm angry at myself for behaving towards you and I made a mistake. Are you really in the mafia? As far as I know, mafia men would always be angry, never feel guilty, and behave tough. But you are regretting behaving a bit opposite to what I thought. The mafia is just a profession for me, but I'm also just normal like others. One, I got to know that your stepfather is abusing you and he doesn't do any job but living sitting at home by your earns somehow. Her face turned red. How can you live with that? You should have run away from him or asked him. If I had to say in my style, at least you should have already beaten him with loudest cruelly. I'm not that strong of a girl. He has been abusing me since my childhood, so I couldn't turn against him. Hmm. But I'm not sure. How would you react if I asked you something? What was that? He almost asked but stopped himself. It's nothing. Tay? Ah, yes. Do you want me to work like that? Can you please keep clarity? Hell no. I just got angry when your worker acted innocent and caused injury to me and ran away so. I got her to punish her. But how would I punish her when she was really innocent and already living helplessly in hell? Could you let me go then? But I'll pay you back the amount you give to my father somehow. Days are finished. Do you really think I'll take my money from you? I didn't, but it's my responsibility to pay it back. I know how to get my money back from your dad. Okay, so may I go? At first, he didn't give permission as he looked at her with an unnamed expression, but he nodded silently. His eyes showed sadness as she wanted to leave him. 2 months later, Varun shifted to another city and is working in a supermarket, living alone secretly to avoid her stepfather. She is returned to her apartment after finishing her work for the day. She was climbing the stairs slowly, holding onto the handrail. She stopped when she saw her stepfather standing in front of her with an angry expression and burning eyes. There were scratches on his face as well. New apartment, new job, getting a good salary too. You are living your life at the best level, aren't you? She was breathing heavily, scared, as she thought he might have come into her life to abuse her, hurt her, and or beat her again. She was about to leave, but he quickly grabbed her hair, pulling it back, making her stop. How dare you make me get beaten by rowdies? And the mafia man took all the money after personally beating me like hell? He even warned me not to lay my hands on you? Here you are enjoying yourself without even sending me money? Dad, please leave me. She was crying in pain, but he didn't let her go. Instead, he took a knife from his pocket. I'll kill you. As he was about to stab her, Wang closed her eyes and screamed in fear, but Tay kicked the knife away from him. Her stepfather left Wine and then he and Tay started fighting. Wine was in shock to see Tay there. But within just 2 minutes, not taking much time, Tay made him faint with his punches. Tay was breathing heavily, observing the unconscious man. He called one of his guards and instructed them to come and take him away. As he spun around, fist clenched in frustration and cursing aggressively, his eyes suddenly met hers. Without exchanging a word, they shared a silent moment until they sighed, opening up completely and no longer concealing his feelings. Wine, I developed feelings for you the moment I got to know you. I made a decision that I wouldn't leave you, always wanting to be there for you, to protect you as your man. Even when you mentioned leaving, I couldn't bring myself to let you go. But I had to. I've never missed a day without keeping an eye on you, following you discreetly to ensure your safety. I respected your privacy by not entering this building. But today I had to come when I heard screams. Please don't misunderstand me. I just want to keep you safe. She didn't speak as she was surprised by what was going on around her until now. And he didn't leave her even though she left him. He was always with her, not letting her know. I would like to be your husband one. If possible, please think about my proposal. I'll take care of you. Since she was silenced and he became upset, thinking maybe she doesn't like him or at least didn't like him. Then he lowered his head and about to turn back, but she ran to him, hugged him from behind, and he slowly turned towards her with an unbelievable expression. Don't leave without me. I also developed feelings for you when I distanced myself from you staying here. He smiled with a deep sigh, and she smiled with a relief, letting all her pores open up. Then he pecked her lips. Let's marry now. What? Now? At this time? Yes, I can't wait 1 more minute. Let's go. I can't stay away from you. He held her hand, running with her, as she smiled happily, running with him.